Check. All right, I think you can hear me. I don't know why my audio got all reset. I tested this right before the stream, I swear. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I don't think the music's coming through, but I can figure that out today and we will have that ready for tomorrow. So anyway, well, welcome on in. I'm Sam Peterson. I'll do my little intro real quick again. Just let me know if you can hear me for sure. It looks like you guys can. So I'm going to be your guest. I'm going to be your host for the next 2 weeks for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. Today is not going to be an actual challenge. Today is just going to be a welcome day. So our first challenge starts tomorrow, but I'm going to go over some of the basics of Photoshop. For anyone who's completely new to Photoshop, I'll go over some of the common tools, some of the things we'll be using, some of the interface of Photoshop, but we're actually going to make a little cover image for a Behance project today. So if you have a Behance account and you want to upload all of these challenges by the time it's done, we're going to make a little cover image for that. So these challenges are 2 weeks long, and then we're going to have 2 weeks of replays. So if you are watching this a little while from now and you see Creative Encore at the bottom, that means it's a replay. The chat will still be live, but we are going to be doing 2 weeks of live, 2 weeks of replays. Just want to let you guys know that. Also, if you're watching over on YouTube, come over to the Behance chat. That's where I'll be able to see your questions, comments, and everything like that. So hello, welcome on in everybody. I'm glad it didn't take too long to realize that I was muted. Tim, Dorina, Janice, Wade, Biola, Monica, Umacorn, Laura, Christelle, good to see everybody. Glad you're all here. So I want to go over a little bit of the basics of Photoshop. I see a lot of regulars in the chat, so I know a lot of you guys are Photoshop pros already. If you're experienced in Photoshop, intermediate, anything like that, my hope is that you can do these challenges and push them as far as you want, really just take them and run with them. But if you're new to Photoshop, I'm going to try to approach this in a way where you can just download the starter files, which will be found down below in the description. And you'll be able to just pretty much follow along step by step. And like I said, take it and run with it as much as you would like. All right, let me just pull this up, make sure I can see you guys okay with my windows. All right, and I think we are ready to rock. So let me get this out of the way. Just don't want to reveal what we're about to create today. All right, good to go. All right, there we are. So this is Photoshop, and if you open it up, you're going to just see like the home page. You won't see a document. But what we can do first off is just create a document. So if you haven't done that before, you can just go to File, New, up here at the top, or Control-N, Control or Command-N. And you'll see a bunch of presets here. It saves a lot of your recents. It also shows at the top different little preset formats, so like art and illustration and that kind of stuff. But what we can do here is just go over to the right-hand side, and you can set different metrics, different dimensions here. So currently it's on pixels. If you're more comfortable, you can do inches, centimeters, millimeters, all these that you see in the drop-down menu. But we're going to keep it on pixels, and we're actually going to do 1920 by 1080. So 1920 width, 1080 height, and resolution 300. I just like to work at 300 resolution. Typically a good resolution for printing, so that's kind of my standard, but we can create that. So that's the document here, and I just want to cover some of the basics of Photoshop, like I said, if you haven't seen it before. Also, Ted, hey, how you doing? I don't think I said hey to Ted. Ted is one of the mentors in the Discord chat, so actually that's probably what I should cover first. How do you join these challenges? So first off, if you go to the landing page, it's behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. And this is how you're going to join the challenges. If you scroll down, you'll see that we don't have any challenges revealed because the first challenge is tomorrow. But if you click this big blue button at the top, you can register for the challenges, get notifications, all that good stuff. And if you scroll down, you can actually see past challenges. So you'll see the dates here on the left. You can click the buttons on the right to scroll through, see the description. If you click Get Started, you'll get the starting file for that. And if you click Watch Video, you can watch the stream. So it's a really easy way to access tons and tons of past challenges of previous weeks. So really good way to kind of find a specific one if you're looking for it. Secret challenges. Also, the Discord. So if you join here, this is where you're going to see all the challenges. But if you want to share your challenges, if you want to get feedback, ask questions, give feedback, interact with the community essentially when we're not here on the live stream, you can go to Discord. So I am in the challenge channel here. You'll see under feedback, it says challenge. This is where you're probably primarily going to be posting. This is where you're going to be sharing designs. A lot of amazing designs here. You can scroll through them and see them for the previous challenges we had with Voodoo Val. And like I said, Ted is going to be mentoring. I'm actually going to be mentoring these next 2 weeks myself. So I'll be giving feedback. And if you have any questions or anything like that, you can click the Ask a Question section. I should maybe move my my head so you can see that a little bit better. And if you have any technical issues or want to know how to do anything specific, you can ask here. And we have a lot of great community members who give feedback, who answer questions, who are really, really helpful. So check it out if you have not already. So let's go back to Photoshop. And now I can start covering some of the basics of Photoshop. Yeah, thanks for those links, Wade. Click those if you haven't already joined the Discord. Misty, good to see you. Welcome on in. Good to see everybody. Sean, I'm sure I missed some people, but hello. So when you open up Photoshop, if you've never used it before, I just want to briefly touch on some things that might be helpful. We're going to be introducing different tools and different techniques as we go through these challenges, but just a quick little overview of where to find the things we might be looking for. So first off, the toolbar is on the left. Currently, I have my brush tool selected. If you hover over these tools, you'll see a little description in the hotkey. So the Lasso Tool makes freehand selections. It says L, so that's the hotkey for it. So if I want to select that with the hotkey, I'll just press L. The marquee tool, the crop tool, brush, the clone stamp, fill bucket, smudge, which is a favorite of mine, the text tool, the pen tool, they're all over here on the left side. The move tool is at the very top, and that's V for the hotkey. So the other thing you're going to want to know about is the menu bar at the top. Like I said, we'll be going through these more naturally as we do these challenges and as we need to use these tools. But a lot of times I'll be using layers if I want to create new layers. If you want to make adjustment layers, that's also under layer. We have things like image, if you want to change the canvas size, the image size, the rotation. Filter is probably one you're going to be using a decent amount throughout these two challenges. If you want to do a blur, you'll see that a lot of the filters and effects are down here. There's also the filter gallery. Neural filters is accessed through here. If you don't know how to find something, I want to give you guys a little tip that's very, very useful. If you press Control F, you can bring up the Discover menu. So for example, like I had, if you're looking for the eraser tool, you can hover over this and you'll see that on the left side, it's highlighting the eraser tool. If you want to get access to more tools, something you can do is click and hold down on some of these tools here. So for example, if I click and hold down, I'll get access to the Magic Eraser tool. But if you didn't know that, and you type in Magic Eraser, you're wondering how to access that, hover over the result here, you'll see it says click and hold. So very useful to find different things. Same thing with the things at the top here. Control F just to access the Discover menu. Another thing is the window menu. This is really helpful because you can pop up different menus. If some of your menus got taken away, you exited them, you don't know how to bring them back, it's usually through the window menu. So if I want to access my brush settings, I can just click on that and it brings up my brush setting menu. Now I can edit my brush. So a lot of panels and things, if you're not seeing them, you can access them through the Windows menu here. So that's a quick little overview. The last thing, and definitely not the least, is the layer menu over here. We're going to be using a lot of layers. If you're not familiar with that, it's really the power of Photoshop. And to create a new layer, you can go up to Layer, New, Layer here, and you'll see it shows the hotkey next to it. So Shift Control N or Command Shift N, and it'll bring up a little window where you can name your layer. You can set the blending mode. We'll be using different blending modes throughout these 2 weeks. but you can just leave it at normal, click OK. And if you later want to change the blending mode, it's up here right above the menus. Select the menu or select the layer that you want, and then you can change the blending modes. So lots of blending modes, but we'll cover those as we use them. So I think that's mostly what I wanted to cover for Photoshop. Like I said, I think a lot of this stuff is best done just through action. When you're trying to create something, you'll naturally use these tools, and that's really where you'll see the context for them and be able to remember them and how to use them. Like I said, I know a lot of you guys are pros here and you've been around for a long time, but in case anyone's new, I just wanted to kind of go over some of those basics. So we are going to create a new little like cover page for our Behance project. So if you go to create a new layer, I'm going to do it with the hotkey, Control or Command, Shift N, and I'm just going to put BG for background. I'm going to do an alternate background here. I'm going to select black here over in my color picker, press G for the paint bucket tool, and just fill that in. I may actually take the opacity here, you'll see at the top right above the layers, and just tone that down so it's a lighter gray, because we're going to be able to need to see black here, and just something like that is fine. So from here, I'm just going to create some text. T for the text tool. You can also click it here on the left, and I'm going to type in Photoshop. I'm actually going to press Command or Control A to highlight this all. And if you click the color at the top here, you can change the text color, that little black square. I'm going to change it to white. And a lot of times I would want to press V so I could move it around. But since I'm typing, I don't want to overwrite it and type V. So I'm just going to click the move tool up here. That kind of confirms it. And I'm going to bring it down here. Press T again for text. And I'm going to do daily creative this time. Click that move tool. Move this into place. T for text. And challenge. Click my move tool and position. So I think I'm going to kind of shrink this down. I'm just going to do this little hierarchy of text here. You guys can arrange this any way you want. Go nuts with this or follow step by step. It's up to you. I'm going to line up Photoshop and challenge a little bit to be the same size. And I'm going to have daily creative just tucked in there. So I think that's looking pretty decent. Tanya, also hello. I don't know if I said hey to you, and Anki. Okay, so from here, I'm going to actually group this. I'm going to select, you can select it with Control, hold on Control and select them all, or you can select one layer, hold on Shift and select the last layer, and it'll select everything in between. Now you can do Control G. You can also do layer and group layers through there. You can also right click it and do, you can group your layers, but I do Control G, and we're going to name this black stroke. I'm going to resize this with the move tool. I'm selecting the whole group there that we have, and I'm using the move tool to just size it up. Something like that. That looks good. Double click the layer, or I'm sorry, double click the group. You can double click layers as well, but this accesses the layer styles. And this gives you a lot of effects that you can apply to that layer or to the whole group. So in this case, we're applying it to the group, and we're going to do a stroke. So if you see stroke here, click that checkbox. You'll see a stroke has appeared around our text. And I'm going to click the actual stroke wording here so it highlights it, and we can set our size. You can put the position of the stroke on the inside, on the outside. You can change the blending mode, the opacity, all those settings. And the color, of course. But I'm going to leave this black. I think 6 or 8 will be good. Somewhere in that ballpark. I think 6 will stick with that. Now we got a little stroke around our text. And of course, you can use any font you want. But if anyone was curious, I don't know if anyone asked, this particular font I thought was kind of neat. And it's called Falcon Script. I don't remember where I got it. But if you search a Falcon Script on Google, I'm sure it'll pop up. Oh, tip. Yeah, Behance cover is 808 by 632. So if you want to get the exact dimensions, that's a great tip. Let's see here. So I think that's good. From here, we now have this stroke. applied to our entire group. I'm going to duplicate the group with Control or Command J, and we're going to make a second stroke. So this is now called black stroke copy. I like to name all my layers. It keeps things very simple and easy and organized for me. Because sometimes these documents get really big, and the bigger they get, the more unwieldy they get. So it's good to name things early on. I'm team name your layers for sure. But I'm going to call this duplicate orange stroke. And I'm going to actually move this down below. I'm going to click and drag it down below the black stroke layer. Now, if you see the highlight on the top and bottom and the sides, you're going to put it in that group. We don't want that. We want to bring it down even further, and now you'll just see the single blue line at the bottom. And that means we're putting it below it. So I'm going to double click this again to access the layer styles. Click that stroke option, and we can just change it to orange or whatever color you want. But I'm going orange because I'm going for a blue and orange color scheme on this design. I'm sure none of you could see that coming if you know me. I'm going to change the stroke a bit bigger to 10. I think that will work. And from here, I'm actually going to select the Move tool with V, or you can click the icon and just click and drag. You can also use the arrow keys. You can press up, left, and I use the arrow keys a lot for this kind of thing to dial it in exactly where I want it. So that looks good. And I think we will do it one more time. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the black stroke at the top. Control or Command J. Click and drag that down to the very bottom. And I might double click it, go into the stroke again, and change it from like a 6 to an 8 or a 10, just so we have a little bit more room to work with. Use the arrow keys or the Move tool just to position where you want. But that way we have like multiple strokes here. And the thing is, you could do this forever. You could group all these three groups that we now have. Do Control G. Now all those groups are within one group, and you could add another stroke. Double click it to access layer styles, click stroke, and then change the stroke color to white. In some circumstances, this might look good, but the structure of our text, it doesn't look so great. You can do something like that. So you can just add strokes and strokes and strokes. You can just keep grouping things and adding layer styles to them. But I'm going to actually undo that. We don't need that all grouped. And I think that looks pretty good there. Sorry, guys. Try not to cough into the microphone here. Biola, I don't know if I said hey to you. Welcome on in, everyone. Rick, Robert, Julie, good to see y'all. So now we have some little text here with a few strokes. I think that's kind of fun. But on the black stroke group at the very top, I want a little color. I don't like the white text. So I'm going to go into layer styles, double clicking the group, and do a gradient overlay. I think we're going to add a little color to this, which would be fun. Now it already has the gradient that I want, but if you click on the gradient panel here, you can actually change the angle of the gradient too. There's lots of different settings, but we're going to leave these default. But if you click on the gradient, you'll see a lot of default gradients within Photoshop. So there's the basics. You'll see a bunch of blue tones. You can click and play around, see if there's anything that you like. There's purples. Lots of kind of cool colors here. Kind of cotton candy looking. So there's lots of defaults, but you can save your own as well. So I'm going to go into the blues, see if I can find one that I like. From here, you can edit gradients a few different ways. I think I'm going to click this little box here, and that'll select the color on the left side. I'm going to click the color at the bottom there, and now I can customize what color I want. So if I want it like a little darker, a little bit different hue, I can do that. And maybe this one I want to select now. Click that little box, click color. I can make this even brighter. I can make it more green, just to make that gradient between the two colors more noticeable, more extreme. Maybe something like that. And you can add new colors if you click below it, put another point in. You can drag them around, move them. You can click and drag it downward to delete it. You can really control how these things are gradating, how suddenly they're gradating from one to another. But I'm going to click that down, drag it. And if you click these boxes, you'll see this little icon appear. So you can actually, let me try that again. You can actually determine like how quick the gradient goes from one color to the next, but I'm going to leave this in the middle. And then if you want to save it, just the name here, I'll just put TCC gradient. You can click OK, you know, say, or you can click new here, save that, and then click OK to accept that one. So I like that. I think that looks pretty nice. Andreas, hello, welcome. So what else? I think from here, I think from here it'd be fun to add a little background graphic. So I actually have a graphic that I'll put in, sorry, a stock image I'll put in chat for you guys if you want to follow along. You can use whatever you want, but check it out. That should work. And that is this one here. So what I'm going to do is actually just select a splatter that I want. I'm going to select my lasso tool, press L. You'll see that up at the top. And this guy looks kind of good to me. So I'm just going to select this with my mouse and press Control or Command C. I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to bring it into here, select my background layer so it puts it on top of the background, and just do Control V. There we go. Scale this up a bit. What I can do from here is do Control I if I want to invert it, because I kind of want like a yellow, or I mean, sorry, yellow, white graphic here. But one tool, we actually talked about the eraser a little bit ago. Actually, let me move this around here. The magic eraser actually usually does a good job with things of flat colors. So I'm actually just going to destructively erase it. A magic eraser over here under the eraser tab and click that black. And that worked great. So I'm just going to go with that. So I'm going to scale this up. You can transform it uniformly if you're just clicking and dragging, but if you hold Shift, you can kind of do it in a skewed way, depending on what you're going for. So I'm just going to do this as like a cool little splash graphic. I might have to make my text a little smaller. I'm Shift click to select all my groups and scale them uniformly. And if I want to change the color for this, maybe you don't want it to be white. Maybe you want to double click that, access those layer styles we talked about, and you can do gradient overlay. You can do color overlay. Select them to change the color, change the opacity, the blend mode, anything like that. And that kind of looks neat. I have this gray layer that I may not want. I think it looks a little bit better on a white background. So experiment with different color schemes, different backgrounds. And I can just kind of stretch this around until I think it looks pretty good. Let's see how much time we have. I think we're getting pretty close here. All right, there we go. So last thing I want to do as we wrap it up, I'm going to make a new layer, Control Shift N, and I'm just going to call this highlights. This is just a normal layer mode, normal blending mode. I'm actually going to take my brush by pressing B. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to make sure I have like a hard round brush selected. And I actually just want to make these little highlights. Now, if you put this smoothing up here much higher, something like 80 maybe, this is much easier to do with a mouse. So I just want to do these kind of fun little highlights and give this text almost like a sort of shiny look. I think it works well with the shape of this text. It's not like a hard edge, sans serif blocky text. It's this kind of bubbly looking script text. So I think this kind of is a neat effect, almost like a sort of graffiti effect here. I'm not going to do it with the middle text, just a little clicking and dragging to get the top left part of each of these letters. So it's kind of like the light is coming from the top left. Just a fun little additional effect. Now I did want to put a little background splatter with the brush tool. I'll probably post that in the Discord, but unfortunately I am out of time. If you go into the brush settings, you can put on some scattering, get a solid round brush, and kind of click around I'll show you guys that in the Discord, but we are out of time. I do appreciate y'all coming out today. We will be back tomorrow for the first challenge. This is just a fun little cover image for your Behance project if you want to make something like this. I'll see you all in the Discord, and I guess I'll see you all tomorrow. So thanks so much for coming out. See you guys next time. Have a great one, everybody.